Well, hi there. Taylor here with Prep Talk. Wanted to pick up where we left off last as we are attempting to escape from Hurricane Katrina, having just received kind of a miracle whereby we were able to get our car filled so that would enable us to escape out of that area. And, just to revisit a little bit of that episode at the gas station, remember I mentioned that I had $200 cash with me, but that I used my credit card. I'm convinced that had I attempted to pay cash for that gas, go into the little office and prepay, they never would have let me get gas. So it was the fact that I didn't try to use the cash that we had and instead used a credit card, which really made all the difference and enabled us to get the gas that we needed. So by now it's getting rather late at night and we're headed back. And it's interesting, there were a number of truckers at this time who were actually out on their own with chainsaws, cutting a lot of the fallen trees and debris off of the road so that they could move through. And so actually it was because of their effort that we were actually able to get back on the other side of the freeway back to Meridian, because there had been a lot of heavy tree fall on that side that would have made it impossible for us to get back. So anyway, as we came into Meridian, once again, we were actually relying on Mabel, our GPS, because it was once again totally black. And it's just really an eerie feeling when you come into a city and there are no lights on. But nevertheless, we were able to find our way back to our hotel, which was totally pitch black. And we didn't have flashlights with us. We didn't have anything, but we did have a laptop. And so we used the laptop as our flashlight. And, we just held it open and walked into the building and down the hall, and really kind of an eerie feeling, and went into our room and kept it propped open as we got ready for bed and talked about the adventures of the day and then prepared what we were thinking would be best for us in the morning. And our game plan was to make a run for Texas the next morning. We felt like we had enough fuel that if we were really conservative that we'd be able to make it out. So said our prayers, went to bed, and got up first light the next morning, packed everything up. Obviously we didn't feel right about just leaving. We needed to check out whatever that was going to entail. And so the next morning we walked to the main lobby. And that was a sad scene when we went in there. So we walked into the lobby. There was a little transistor radio on the reservation desk, and it was tuned to a news station that was reporting all the things that had gone on and were going on relative to the hurricane and the rescue efforts and everything else. And there was probably about 20 or more people there in the lobby, just sitting there, just sitting there, waiting for somebody to really just to rescue them. It's like they didn't have a game plan. They didn't know what to do. They were just going to wait there. And of course, there was no food. I'm sure these people hadn't eaten for a while. And all of a sudden we heard outside, and it was really easy to hear outside because one of the doors that led to outside, the glass had been blown out. And we heard somebody yell that a restaurant was open across the street. And so several of us jumped up and ran over there just to find out that no, the restaurant wasn't open and there was no access to any food there. And so as we came back, we just did all that we could and left information, wrote our credit card information down to the employee there and so that they could charge it when the power came back up. And then we decided, let's go ahead and saddle up and move on out of here. So a note relative to the folks, the good folks, I'm sure they were, that were there waiting for someone to rescue them. Never really a good strategy in my book. Now, obviously, if there are people that are elderly or have some handicaps or some issues where they can't really on their own put together a plan or go about taking action to save themselves, that's one thing. But people that are able-bodied people just waiting for others to save them, not a good game plan. Certainly wasn't something that we were going to do. And so we got in our car and started heading west towards Texas. And it was bizarre as we got on the road. We calculated, okay, because this is a gas hog, let's just go about 55 miles an hour. Let's try to get the most fuel economy we can out of this thing. And already as we started driving, we were noticing a car here and a car there and a car here that were just abandoned, that where people had just run out of gas and they abandoned their cars. We figured we don't want to be into that category, absolutely not. And so we just kept slowly driving, and every now and then we'd come into a little community. Most of them didn't have power, so there wasn't any issue. But every now and then there would be a gas station that would be open in a small little town. And once again, just huge lines, long lines of people just hoping that they could get some kind of a fuel for their vehicle so that they would have an ability to escape should they choose to. Well, we kept heading west and feeling comfortable that we had enough gas that we could get quite a ways away, but knew that it still wasn't enough fuel to get us to Texas, and we needed to kind of keep our eyeballs peeled for, the next gas station. As we're approaching the Mississippi River, I saw something that caught my eye. There was a billboard on the side of the road that looked like it was from the 50s. It looked like it was from the Andy Griffith Show. Maybe belonged in Mayberry or something, but it was just an old style billboard, and it was, I can't even tell you exactly what was on it other than the fact that it was referencing some truck stop and some place where you could get fuel and you could eat, etc. And so I thought that was an interesting, billboard right there. And as we crossed the Mississippi and kept heading west, maybe another 50 miles, all of a sudden I saw that same billboard again. And I just felt impressed to tell my boy, let's take this exit. Let's just right here where it says this is, let's take it. Even though the billboard looked old and maybe that truck stop no longer existed, let's go over here and see what there might be. And as we pulled off and went down the road a mile or so, sure enough, there was a truck stop. And there were only a couple of cars there, and it looked like they were pumping gas. So when I return next time, I'll tell you the story of what happened there and how we finally made it out. So until next time, take care.